Hello, my name is Chloe Maxman. I am currently the state representative for House District 88, which is Chelsea, Whitefield, Jefferson, and half of Noblesboro. But I am running for state senate this year, so today I am joined by Chris Hamilton and Wayne Farron, who are both the Democrats running in the primary for House District 88. So I am here to talk with them about District 88 and what it means and what it needs and what we can do. So thank you both for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
The first question that I have is, what do you find unique about District 88? And maybe for each, I'll just alternate who starts for each question. So we'll start with Chris first.
What's unique about District 88?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a beautiful rural area with Jefferson, Noblesboro, and Whitefield. It's really it's like the center of agriculture in this part of the state. And then Chelsea is a little different, has a different feel to it than the other three towns. I think that the things that have really been different is that the rural characters, there's a lot of small farms and organic farms, and when you look at where the organic farms and small farms are in Maine, Whitefield, Jefferson is one of those epicenters of where those are. And then it's, of course, been reinforced by having the Amish move into Whitefield. And so that has been really important and really changed a lot in the last couple of years.
Mm. What about you, Wayne?
Well, I think it is a real small business for the whole, through the Jefferson, Whitefield, and parts of Noblesboro, and it does go towards Chelsea. It's a little more of the Augusta outlaying, but I think it's real tight-knit communities, which is, I think, there's a lot of values there, and you know, the roots from all the different things. So I think that's but the small businesses, a lot of small business we don't even know about. I think there's so many little side roads and you know, that we don't know what's going on, a lot of these things. And I think the little centers of town are you know, disappearing. So we so we really need to, you know, that's kind of the unique part, I guess, is each town has its own. But I think it's everybody keeps care of themselves, and it's the old roots, I think, is really important in each of the towns.
Yeah, absolutely. I
and
agree.
There's an impressive number of people who work from home on the internet, who do banking in Boston, or and all kinds of stuff. You know, it's really, really impressive how many people are there.
Yeah, it's I was driving through a part of Western District 88 yesterday, and there was no cell phone reception. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Even in this day.
I think it's getting worse, the cell phone. I think with what we see this spring, it's, with all the you know, the rural learning and everything with the broadband, I think cell phone has been eased back on some of the towers and stuff, because I find a lot of pockets driving around the area that I'm losing people, which I never did. So I think there's needs.
There are definitely needs. Yeah, that leads into my next question, which are, what are some of the biggest needs and issues that you're hearing from people as you campaign? Wayne, you can go first.
I think a lot of internet is a big thing. Broadband that I've been hearing from all the calls I've made is real big. You know, the pockets that are missing. I mean, we just hear that Bremen just got a nice little grant, and you know, I think that's something I could look forward to, trying to bring grants from the state or federal, whatever we can, along with, you know, the help of the local, like Tidewater Telecom and Consolidated, and just different ones can work together. I think we could really get. It's going to help everybody. So that's a big issue I've seen. And this job opportunities are just, it's getting thin for the younger crowd, as you could see. It's just hard to stay around.
Yeah.
So I think that with broadband and different things, and you know, just keeping the roads up, and you know, keeping the town structure and the schools. Keep a good school is going to bring in people to these small towns. So I think that's real big. That issues of education is big.
Yeah,
hear it all the time. And then how we're going to safely open up again and get going with all the COVID and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing that I hear from people are worrying about the pandemic, about a second wave coming and how we're going to manage that. And there needs to be, a lot of healing around, both healing for the social distancing and healing the economy, and how we're going to do that. I think the second question I hear mostly about is about where's Chloe, and people are very know you well and are excited about you, and so that's always the second question. It's like, okay, where's Chloe? And but certainly the internet and getting high-speed internet throughout the area would be good for economic development. When the pandemic started, just as an example, in my house, we have high-speed internet. We were lucky we have a cable that runs to our house. My son came home from Michigan. He works for Chrysler as an engineer. He set up his 3 laptops up in the upstairs bedroom, and he didn't miss a beat. He started at 6:45 in the morning and go till 6 o'clock at night every day, and he just did his thing. My daughter came back from graduate school in New Mexico. She didn't miss a meeting or a class while she was in graduate school. I work off the farm and then also running this campaign, and then my wife was trying to figure out what we're going to do with our business and our farm. So by having that strong internet access, it allowed us to have essentially four different jobs going all at the same time. That kind of thing could be the future for how people, they could work in Boston, they could work in Portland, they could work in Michigan, and but we need to get that infrastructure set up, because not everybody's as lucky as we are to have that high-speed internet.
Yeah.
And that kind of plays off with where I had to go, is I didn't have it. But I had it at my office in Damariscotta. So my wife, trying to work in Augusta, shuts down her office, and my daughter was finishing college at UMaine and was coming home, and she couldn't load things, she couldn't do things from my house. So everybody's at my office running off, so it was a whole different thing. It just showed the need. And what I've heard from different ones in the school systems is it gets to the haves and the have-nots, the people that don't have that structure. I think some of these kids got left behind. And they might have gone to a friend's or, gone to the school and sat in the parking lot. It's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough for kids to have to do that just to get their lesson plan. So I think that really showed what's going on for the broadband was huge.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. This is a tangentially related question, but I'm curious how, because if you started campaigning before the pandemic hit, what that was like, and then how COVID has impacted the issues that you're hearing from people. Chris, you go first.
I didn't start campaigning much before the COVID, because I was traveling for work. So I don't, I know that the campaign is really different, because you don't go out and knock on doors, and instead we call people and send mail to people and put our signs out and that kind of thing. So I haven't really seen a difference, because I didn't start till it already. I was on some of the last planes coming home when the thing was hitting. So.
Yeah. Have you seen, you talked a little bit about how one of the big things that you're hearing from people is around COVID. What are people talking about?
Oh, there's no question. It's the number one thing that people are worried about. It's about social distancing. It's about the present right now, about wearing masks and the uncomfortableness everybody has around wearing masks, but you need to wear them, and how that is, and how different families. I talked to a woman yesterday, and she was talking about how she didn't get to go to her granddaughter's birthday party because her children weren't wearing masks, and she and her husband really feel like they need to wear masks. So it's like kind of divided the families up, but it's definitely a big worry for them. And I would say for many people, that's the topic. And then they're worried about, so once you get that through, like, what's the transition going to be like? Everybody is, they know that you need to have social distancing. We know we need to keep people safe, but they also mean that the tourist economy is not here, and all the tax revenue which is going to be involved with having these businesses shut down. So there's a lot of uncertainty that's coming up, and they're concerned about how they're going to address that.
Yeah. Understandably.
Yeah, understandably, exactly. So, and I would say that the vast majority of people are appreciative of the three of us and other candidates who are willing to step forward and try to make a difference. You know, a lot of people are frustrated with politics and the way that politics are, particularly on the national level. And for us to step forward and say, well, we're going to try to make a difference. We're willing to put our hat in there. We're willing to try to make a difference and take the positive, take the high road. People really appreciate that. And they're glad that we're doing it because they don't want to do it, but they're glad we're doing it.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. There you go.
What about you, Wayne? What have you?
Well, I kind of the same as Chris. I was kind of getting going. I actually had a kind of like a campaign kickoff almost planned and a place, and we're just about setting it up, and then it all kind of hit late March, and so it kind of had to get 150 people together when so everything was cut back that way. So everything was shut off. But and I see you know, so it's a difference. So all the campaigns have been phone calls and talking to people you know, and meeting people at the post office, to the stores, and in my business, and just it's hard you know, just to be able to converse directly with people has been hard.
Yeah.
As you've seen. But I think the recovery is just got to be, you know, be safe. We've got to do a slow recovery, and I think priorities of people are going to be changing. People don't understand where this is changing a lot of priorities for people, and I think they're going to step back and go, you know, what is safe? What am I going to do? How do I function? How do I work? And I think we've got to really look into mental health issues. I think that's going to be, you know, the impact is a lot deeper than I don't think people are going to understand how deep it's hurting people. Yeah. And the long range effects we've got to really watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's going to be something that we got to, you know, keep people going safely and help people. So
definitely.
As you've seen with all the calls you've made and things that you've heard through all the, you know, everything from food insecurity, and you know, there's going to be the work to be done. So we got to tighten our belts, and hopefully I can help do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been so lucky. So many of us, and this comes up a lot too, that we're so lucky to live in the area that we do, where we stay, you know, when you stay at home, but our homes are pretty darn nice, and we've got a lot of open space around them, and the vast majority of people in our district have area around them, and it's not like they're in a little apartment in the city where they, you know, so they can't get out so much. So people have been very fortunate and recognize that about, you know, yes, it's hard to stay home. It's hard to not see the grandchildren. It's hard to only see people on Zoom. But boy, we're lucky we can go out and go for a walk down the road and, you know, whatever, have open space around us.
Yeah, absolutely. We are certainly blessed to live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so I was wondering, just because I know you're both so deeply embedded in the community, what changes you've seen in District 88 over the past few years. And of course, our whole world is changing so drastically every day, and tomorrow might look very different from today. But I'm wondering what you've seen as the evolution since, in the past few years. And I think Wayne goes first this time.
I think, well, especially in our district, I think the school enrollment is dropping throughout I think maybe a little bit more. I mean, I got to check all the figures, but I think Chelsea's more even because it's closer to the Augusta and Gardner, you know, business districts, but the three Lincoln County towns have, you know, the schools. It's hard when your enrollment's down, and you know, it used to be 40 kids for the 8th graders and 7th graders, and now it's 25, and you still got the 2 teachers, so you still have the costs. And some of that's really changes the, you know, the cost of a school.
Right.
And I think a lot of it was a few years back when we had a lot of higher gas prices. I think that really, I see it in the real estate, that a lot of times people were looking to be closer to where they worked. So, you know, they didn't want to go 15 and 20 miles, and, you know, the half hour in the car, and it seems a lot. If we talk to out of state, half hour in the car seems like nothing to some people.
Yeah.
A lot of it's they're sitting there and only going 2 miles, but it's the cost. You get $4.50 a gallon gas. It's puts a strain on people making $12 and $14 an hour. So why do I want to live in Whitefield? Why do I want to live in Jefferson if I'm not either in a different position where I can, work from home or partially work from home and things like that? So I think that's a real change in, in just commuting. I think that's, and and I think a lot of it's the younger people are having a hard time staying, as we talked about it in the past, and where is the job for them? Where do people graduate from UMaine system, and then how can I stay in Whitefield? How can I stay in Jefferson? It's hard. So a lot of people will go to Boston, and they'll go to Portland areas, and they'll bunk with people because it costs so much to stay in these other areas. But it's nice to see some people coming home or being things. So I think we've got to come up with some kind of ideas to spur the economy that will keep the young people around. I think that's the big changing thing.
Absolutely. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think that so I grew up in South China, and we used to play Whitefield in Jefferson in basketball back in the day. I don't know if they still do or not, but we used to come over here. And I can remember as a kid, we would come, and there would be, it had a real farm feeling over here, and much more so than China, which was more of a suburb of Augusta. When I was a kid, there was farms, but then they had gone out during my childhood. So I think that agricultural heritage is still here. It's like I said earlier, when you look at where the organic farmers in Maine are, Whitefield, Jefferson is one of the areas where there is a concentration of them. Bodenham, Southern Maine, Aroostook County. But Whitefield has that, and that has also been spurred on by Sheepscot General, which plays a very important role in building community in this area for that kind of rural community. So we're really lucky to have been in Tarrant, and how they have really made the effort to do that and built this community support there. Then, of course, the Amish coming in is a big difference, and they have really, it's not so much in the whole district, but in Whitefield it has had a big impact. That will help maintain the rural character of the town. It's also set up competition for farmland, which has been interesting, because before they came, there were just these other farmers, organic farmers, who were trying to move here, and now there's competition for the farmland. Another thing that's happened of recent is Maine General, having that big beautiful hospital in Augusta has made a difference to our district. And then, of course, LifeFlight, where I used to work, having access to LifeFlight's services, both at Maine General and down here at Miles, and then, of course, being able to land in the communities, allows people to have stronger and more robust health care right here in our area. So we're lucky to have LifeFlight to be able to come and serve our area. I think that the thing that, as far as creating jobs here, there's the opportunity to create trade jobs that we would call trades, electricians, mechanics, that kind of thing, for people who want to live here. And like Revision Energy and Liberty have a long list of needs for electricians. They have their own electrician training program because there aren't enough electricians around to serve their needs. So supporting our trades, that would be another opportunity to help keep our local, keep people who are interested in that kind of thing here.
Yes, definitely.
I think we all agree on that.
Oh, yeah, I definitely. With the trades, for sure, is I see it in my real estate practice is trying to find a plumber and trying to find an electrician.
No kidding, and get them to show up.
Tough. And so, and I think somebody that could go to a trade school, in a year or two, or become a lot of apprentices. Apprentices program should be really pushed because we need it. We definitely, the 19 and 20-year-olds that just, I don't want to go to a 4-year college, or I just, not sure what I want to do. Is how do you really know what you want to do when you're 19, 20, 21? And to be able to go to as an apprentice for a year, and then, you know, at 25 and 28, people can be making some pretty decent money to be able to stay in their community they grew up in, and maybe stay in northern Lincoln County. So I think that's big.
I agree. Yeah, one of my bills was all about pushing that apprenticeship program,
Oh, that's
because
great.
it's so important, and not many folks know about it in Maine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question that's hard for candidates to answer, but we talked about so many needs in District 88, from broadband and healthcare and supporting local farms and our school systems. How do you think about actually addressing some of these needs? I think I've kind of lost track on who goes first. I think Chris goes first now.
Is it me? Just
I
that?
think so,
I don't
yeah.
remember. But,
Yeah.
so how do you actually address those needs? Well, I think you get together with people and you talk about creating ideas about how those are going, how the things are going to be addressed. So if your idea is to get more trade schools, you need to figure out, okay, there are different aspects of that, so that you can build a little coalition around how you do that. And that would both be before you in the legislature and in the legislature, because there are going to be people you need to build the team of people who are going to work on it with you. Because if you just put the bill in on your own, that's exactly where you're going to end up, is on your own. So having those, whatever the issues are, figuring out what the needs are and how those are going to be to build a coalition. When you get to in the legislature, there has to be, whatever bill you put in, if it has anything to do with money, has to have an appropriation plan to deal with Appropriations Committee. Because if you don't, the way it ends up is everything gets put on what they call the appropriations table, and then you pretty quickly end up on the appropriations floor if you don't have a plan and an advocate within the caucus, the Appropriations Committee. Well, okay, we got. So I think those are many of the things. I think there are going to be leaders within the community who will give us advice. They've already started. They probably called all of us. They're already starting to call and give advice about, like the CMP corridor. There's been a lot of, it's not really lobbying, but a lot of opinions on that. And so how are you going to, we need to sort that out. So bring those people together, sit down and kind of sort out how that's going to be. Sorry, I know we're down.
Yeah.
So we
That's
got
right.
Yeah,
to
go
give
for it.
Wayne his minutes.
Well, I think one big thing, I think there's got to be some kind of tax incentives for certain things. And I think, if we can, help, I don't know if we can get into the federal, but at least with the state tax incentives to be able to do some of these things for apprentice programs, for, any kind of job creation of some sort. Anything that you can talk about having a tax incentive to keep people here and to do, doing these things, I think is huge. And then the other thing is the cost. We've got to look at the long range. What we spend, is it a benefit? The cost-benefit analysis, as you say, of people always saying how much, if we do it now, what happens in 5, 7, 10 years? It's a hard thing to do, but we can't just spend on certain things and then just disappear. We got to make sure that it goes to the right things. So I think a lot of that is huge, and especially with, as we said before, technical training. And then bumping the Wi-Fi and broadband and even the cell phone issues. There's a lot of gaps with just straight cell phone issues. Yeah. So the technology is huge, and it's going to really change the rural towns.
Definitely.
By far. Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you both. For the last bit of time, we only have a couple minutes left. I just wanted to give you each some space to talk about your campaign, if people wanted to get involved, where they can go, and any last words that you wanted to offer to viewers. Wayne, you go first last.
I've got a Facebook page that you can go on. My email is very simple. It's my name, WayneFarren@gmail.com. I got it before any other Wayne Farren got it. So simple to get a hold of me. My phone number, and I'm all over with my Farren Properties website and my real estate office, so you can be in touch. Be glad to talk to anybody about issues they have. And I really encourage the absentee voting is real big, and you know, stay safe and get your absentee ballot, you know, and I really hope that you know, you vote for me so I can go on to the next round. And I do feel that I have a good, if I do go to the next round, and I have a real good support of Republican and unenrolled voters, that I know a lot of people, so I have a good range of people. And I start talking, oh geez, I got to get a Democrat vote right now, and it's like, oh, well, they're not Democrat. They're not. I know all these people, but they're not going to help me on this round. So I'm hoping that if you do vote for me, it'll help me go into the next round. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds good.
What?
Yes, Chris,
Yeah.
the last minute is yours.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Well, the way people can get a hold of me is I have a website, hamiltonforthehouse2020.com, Facebook, Hamilton for the House 2020. People can call me on my cell phone, which is 207-242-2559. I have really enjoyed talking with people. I've really enjoyed talking with Wayne as well. We haven't had that much interaction, but we have a good time together when we're together, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the high level that we've kept the campaign, and look forward to that continuing that way. And I look forward to watching you, Chloe, and helping you, however it turns out for Wayne and I, of helping you with the Senate, in your Senate race. And whenever I'm feeling like a little bit overwhelmed from my House race, I think of you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so much bigger campaign.
Yeah.
So I really wish you luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
I
you.
do too.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for coming today. Again, this is Chris Hamilton and Wayne Farren. They're running for the Democratic primary in House District 88. And my name is Chloe Maxman. I'm running for State Senate this year. Thank you all for tuning in.